Trish Sherson, Sherson Willis PR Director, and Ian Jones, former All Black and General Manager of All Blacks Experience in the studio. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good to have you both here. Let's switch to rugby, shall we?
Let's start there, shall we?
Start with Ian on that one.
Well, it's better than talking war.
Yeah, a good point. So, well, it was a battle to the end,
Yeah.
and the Crusaders came back and took it.
Yeah, what a legacy, eh? Absolute congratulations to them, their supporters, of course, management. It's just a dynasty, there's no question about that. They just know how to step up in those big games, and their big players become great players in finals, and can't say much more about that. Their players were better than the Chiefs players, and I watched every agonising minute of it, Ryan.
Yeah. Trish, were you watching the game on that day?
I wasn't watching the game, and I have to something to admit here that I grew up with rugby. I'm actually a Chiefs girl. Well, I'm a Tamaranui Eels girl originally.
Well, we've got that in common in terms of Chiefs supporters.
But rugby has lost me over the years, unfortunately.
Yeah, and, well, it's lost a lot of people, to be fair, but was making some inroads this season, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's attractive. It actually almost lost me last year too, Trish. I'm on there, but some rule changes, the speed of the game. These players are really exciting. The Ethan Blackaders, the Will Jordans, they are just fun to watch. You have a charismatic character like Razor Robinson coming in to coach the All Blacks. He just brings an energy. When you have energy, Ryan, you bring supporters along with the ride. So hang in there, Trish. And when we come back during the All Black season, you'll be wearing black like you are and fully on board.
Great relief.
Is there anything in the Crusaders coming back and winning it again that gets a bit boring for people? The dominance of Canterbury?
No, just think of the way they went about it isn't boring, because it was a contest. And you went to that game, Ryan, whether you're Chiefs or Crusaders or neutral, you actually didn't know who was going to win. And that's what competition is all about, actually not knowing the outcome. So to enjoy it for 80 minutes and still right at the very end, think the losing team, the Chiefs, had a chance, that's good. That kept me enthralled, and I'm a Chiefs fan.
Let's talk about the war that is now raging in the Middle East. We've had attacks from the United States getting involved at the weekend. Trish, what's your take on this and what it might mean for us?
I think the biggest issue for New Zealand is, again, just a building on the global uncertainty. So we know here we've got a stuttering economic recovery. Every time we get more geopolitical stability, it just makes the path through that a little clearer. I saw a great article over the weekend, actually it was an op-ed by Liam Dan here at the Herald, and basically he was saying to New Zealanders, you know, we've got a glass half full, we've got a really tough recovery, but actually we're doing the recovery in the right way. So I think this, for New Zealanders, it's part of the mental game really about getting, you know, as Luxon would say, back on track. But this does add to the uncertainty, and as you just mentioned from The Guardian, with the Strait of Hormuz closed, one of the big impacts we always see, it's not just the cost of oil, but we're a little country a long way from everywhere. We import a huge amount of stuff, which we have to, and shipping costs, as we've seen in the last 6 years through COVID, etc., they have a big implication for supply chains and in fact what we as New Zealanders pay. So to me, that is the big concern, is what happens from here, how long it takes, and what does that mean for really the prices we pay.
Yeah, and then you start to think about price increases, potential price increases, and that worries the Reserve Bank, and then they're not cutting the interest rates, and then, you know.
Yes, but we've got to keep pushing the diplomacy, right? I mean, I love Winston's take on that. We just got to get the facts. Make sure we're good global citizens, make sure we're understanding, and New Zealanders then, through the government, can make good decisions on behalf of all of us. That's really important. Also, it sounds like the oil price is going to go up pretty soon. So I'd suggest go out and fill up my car pretty quickly, because they are the impacts, aren't they?
Totally.
They are the real life impacts that are going to happen on you and I and the rest of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we're seeing here is actually the advantage of having Winston in this role right now. He's so experienced, and to me, one of the big drivers of the uncertainty around the world is the global leadership currently. I mean, you've got Trump, who can actually override Congress and order these strikes. He's got sort of unusual power now as a president. You've got other global leaders who are unpredictable. And so I think as New Zealand, again, it feels good to have someone like Winston in the role who's just saying, look, take a breath, let's get the facts. And actually, he will navigate us through what New Zealand actually needs to be worried about.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually interesting watching that yesterday, and you had Winston Peters and Judith Collins, who are both very experienced,
Yes.
been there, done that, you know, standing there giving us the information.
Yep, and communications is all about at all times, isn't it? Understanding what's happening out there, having a cool head in these situations which are happening. So I think, for me anyway, we're in a pretty good spot with those people leading us.
Ian, what about dog attacks?
Yep.
We saw some numbers out this morning that there's been an increase from 2020, 3,000 dog attacks. This is just reported to council
Yep.
and just in Auckland last year, and an increase of 1,000 on pre-COVID.
Numbers game though, isn't it, Ryan? More people, more dogs. Of
Yeah.
course, I think this is another hangover of post-COVID. We had to get ourselves a puppy during that COVID period. Now, what are we going to do with that puppy? I mean, the thing that gets me, and I love dogs. I'm not a dog owner myself, but I do love dogs. But I'd love to see people, maybe let's get the leash laws a little firmer or a bit more controlled, or how can we regulate those leash laws? Because I love running, walking, enjoying the beach time, but also see lots of dogs kind of roaming on the beach. So maybe that's an area I'd love to look at.
Yeah, and people just, because it's not necessarily out in the community, but it's also at people's homes where they have friends come over with kids or whatever, and they don't really watch what's happening.
I'm with Ian on this. I mean, I grew up on a farm with a lot of big farm dogs, but farm dogs are incredibly well trained and behaved. Over COVID, and this is my sort of dipstick on numbers, my husband and I are about the only people walking around Grayland Park in Cox's Bay without a dog. Every person has a dog, if not one or two. And the other day I was down at the park, and don't laugh at this, but I was on the pull-up bars.
Oh, God.
And a guy with a big, one of those sort of brindle-coloured dogs, I was busy concentrating, you can imagine, heaving myself up and down. And this dog was off the leash, and I turned round, and there it was right next to me. I said some terrible expletives, and the dog owner came running over. But this is the point about having your dogs off the leash. Yes. My reaction could have freaked the dog out.
Oh, absolutely.
People need to keep them under control.
Well, maybe you need a leash at the park, Trish. Thank you, guys. Good to have you both on the panel this morning.
Thank
you.
That's
Thank you.
Ian Jones, former All Black and General Manager of the All Blacks Experience, and Trish Sherson, Sherson Willis, Director.